Welcome to the show. This week, FBI Director James Comey announced that he would not recommend charges against Hillary Clinton on the private use of email service while she served as Secretary of State. Clinton breathes a sigh of relief, but do voters really agree that this scandal can be put to sleep? Also, Donald Trump is being scrutinized for his Twitter once again over a graphic that some say is anti-Semitic. But does that seem a little far-fetched? Also, who could these two pick as their running mates? There's a lot to talk about tonight. Henry, start us off.
Well, let's start off with James Comey. He did everything in front of the camera except saying shame, shame, shame on you to Hillary Clinton. Okay, his wife can cancel the funeral director arrangements because he's not going to get buried like other Clinton opponents have. But really, I don't think this email scandal is behind them. I think it gives mileage for the email scandal to continue through the race. If there would have been possible conviction, or not a conviction, but they would have started prosecution on it, I think Hillary or Loretta Lynch, she would have intervened in that and probably delayed it past the elections. But with this, I think Donald Trump has ammunition in his gun.
Mary, what say you?
Oh,
she really is smiling.
I'm like chomping at the bit here. Oh no,
ear to ear grin.
No, I have to agree. I'm not grinning because of what Mr. Comey said and the conclusion that he made, but it seems like he delivered the case for Republicans against Hillary Clinton. The entire first half, or first, 10 minutes or so of his little speech was basically laying out the case of why Hillary Clinton should be charged, and then the conclusion was that she shouldn't be charged. It was just astounding and really disappointing. Basically, he was saying that she was extremely careless, that her top-end staffers were extremely careless, but yet the gross negligence part and the language that's used in that one statute that would be what is required for charges to be brought against her, the gross negligence phrase wasn't used, but extreme carelessness was. So what I want to know is, what is the difference between extreme carelessness and gross negligence? What's the difference between the two?
So I think this guy is sly like a fox, and here's why. Okay, first of all, what do the Republicans need more than anything right now? They need to come together as a party, right? And arguably, Donald Trump is not most people's favorite candidate, all right? What solidifies that party more than this action? This action by someone who is supposedly a respected member, a respected person, respected FBI director, and he's saying, yeah, it meets all the criteria, but we're not going to charge her anyway, all right? My guess is you've got Republicans all over this country talking about this and coming together on this issue and saying, well, you know what, we'll speak at the voting booth. And I can't imagine that didn't go through Director Comey's mind. On the other side of it, he laid out specific elements, not only refuting her claims in the past, but refuting specifically the ones that they have her on video saying, I did it because I only wanted to use one device. She used many devices. I did it, I never sent anything that was classified. She sent stuff that was classified. She received stuff that was classified at the time it was sent or received.
The email server was never hacked, yet she was in countries in which they had the ability in which to hack into her service.
Well,
so,
and any, a first grader can tell the difference between a government email address and a private email address. I mean, let's call that one.
Well, there's a little bit of news coming out earlier today. Paul Ryan is talking about stripping her of privileges of seeing classified documents.
That would be what they would do if it was anybody else. And this is why people are so frustrated with our political system and politicians. This is exactly why. Hillary Clinton talks about, oh, she doesn't want any bank that's too big to fail. Well, I saw on the news earlier today, it's as if she's too big to jail. I mean, this is the problem with our political system. She lives above the law, the Clintons live above the law, and a lot of people in Washington do too. And that's why Donald Trump is so popular, and Bernie Sanders a little bit too, is because they kind of have that rebellious aspect to them that really is resonating with voters, I think.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think we've heard the last of it either, but I will frankly, I don't think that what he did was a favor to her, because as much as she can celebrate the fact that she's recommended no indictment, the fact of the matter is he pretty much laid out that she is a liar.
She's going to be fighting this entire campaign season.
Absolutely. You're not going to miss a day that there's not a commercial that has some video clip of her saying this and a video clip of James Comey saying something completely different.
And what's her biggest issue?
Trustworthiness.
Absolutely.
Right. So what is, I mean, this just completely flies in the face of that. And
but those that believe in Hillary will still continue to believe in Hillary.
I agree with that, but again, I think the people that are not measured here, from my perspective, are those independent voters, and I think they're going to have something to say about this, and I think, frankly, it could sway some voters. And I think the other thing is, you have the pundits on the Hillary side of the field coming out and saying, "Oh, well, see, you know, she's been cleared of all wrongdoing." No, she hasn't.
Not so fast.
We'll see what happens when the House starts to get involved and start convening additional hearings. And
so, next question: who should Donald Trump choose for VP?
Well, on his short list, it seems like it's just a bunch of, for lack of a better way to put it, older white men. But really, who he really needs to choose is a female, I think, or at least a minority. I think that Joni Ernst would be a fabulous choice. I really like her, but it seems like today she kind of backed away from that. I saw an article this afternoon that said that when she was asked about it, she made a comment like she has a lot more to do in the Senate, which kind of seems like she could be backing away from that. But I think that she's great. She's a veteran. She's the first woman to represent Iowa in Congress, and she would be a fabulous choice. And she's a female, so that would help with the woman vote. But I don't think that she would agree to do that.
She has some differences of opinion than Trump does on national security. And I think that could really play into the decision there. I agree with you. She would be a good choice. But I don't want to see another Sarah Palin.
Well,
okay.
I don't think anyone wants to see another Sarah.
But I mean, no disparagement to Joni Ernst, but I think she has a brighter political future than being on the undercard of Donald Trump's ticket.
I agree.
Newt Gingrich, I love Newt, but he would not be my VP choice.
No.
He would be a great chief of staff because he knows how things work in D.C. Plus, he doesn't have to go through the vetting process that vice president candidate will have to go through. We already saw the dirty laundry that happened 4 years ago in the election when Newt was in cruise control and then Mitt Romney came from behind. So that leaves Chris Christie, which brings nothing to our ticket.
No. Yeah, Chris Christie and Donald Trump coming at you at once is just a little too much.
I'm not quite ready for that.
I think.
At least Donald Trump could keep up with his chicken McNuggets or whatever, if that Big Macs that Christie can pick up. Jeff Sessions, there's no excitement there. I'm sorry.
No.
Well, and Bob Corker indicated this week that he would not be willing to run on the Trump ticket. So, you know, in my mind at this point, and I like the Joni Ernst thing, but I too think she's backing away from it a little bit. In my mind, it's Newt.
Oh, he's just so boring.
What about Jim Jordan?
Who?
Jim Jordan, representative of Ohio. He's well respected in Ohio.
But
Trump
he's not
needs
on
Ohio.
the short list, right?
Well, he's not on the current short list, but how many political candidates have run smoke screens in the past while they're vetting other people in the background?
Well, that's very possible. That's very possible. I honestly, my money at this point is on Newt. And yes, I agree, he can be a little dry, but he also knows how to get things done. And the other things that he brings to the table is that he has, you know, one of the things that I think Donald Trump will work to do, and this is just an opinion, is I think he will try to work towards consensus. He will try to negotiate. And Newt Gingrich has a history of doing that from his time in government.
I agree with that completely. The only problem is most millennials, I just feel like I'm speaking for millennials here, but they have no idea who Newt Gingrich is. The only reason I know who he is because I am a political nerd. But I mean, honestly, any average Joe is probably not going to know who Newt Gingrich is and that he was the former Speaker of the House. And I think that what you said, Henry, is that there's no excitement with Newt Gingrich. I mean, there needs to be excitement, the right kind of excitement with Donald Trump, not the embarrassing excitement.
My question is, if Newt Gingrich was VP, I would hate to see who's the Democratic VP because Newt will probably clean their clocks.
So let's talk about who the short list is on the Clinton ticket.
Oh.
How about Elizabeth Warren?
Next question.
She, even though I am not a huge fan of Elizabeth Warren, I think that she is extremely progressive and would really rope in those Bernie supporters that Clinton is so desperate for.
Well, what do you expect from a Native American? Oh, wait a minute.
Pocahontas.
that was dispelled, wasn't it?
Well, yes, but also she is a great weapon against Donald Trump. I mean, she is just fearless when it comes to Donald Trump. She doesn't hold anything back. She calls him names. I'm not saying that's a good strategy, but Hillary Clinton and her together would be kind of like the dynamic duo, even though it kind of makes me cringe a little bit.
So what about Tim Kaine from Virginia?
Again, there's
No excitement.
People don't really know who he is. I mean, he would have that experience, you know, that Hillary Clinton doesn't necessarily need, but would want. But there's no excitement with him either, I don't think. Just my opinion.
I agree with you. Tim Kaine, he would bring Virginia to, I mean, Virginia is solid purple right now, but Tim Kaine would probably push it over to blue. Then you have, let's see, Castro, who, Julian Castro, HHS, he's been talked about.
Right.
And,
Mark Warner.
She should pick someone young, exciting, someone who will invigorate voters and turn them out, especially young voters, because she is just
How about
very
Al Franken?
boring.
You know, if he failed on everything else, at least he'd be great at the correspondence dinner, right?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to take the last word on that. Next up on the flip side, our panel weighs in on local unemployment rates. We're back in 3 minutes. Stay tuned.